Blue Eyes is a deck that can run many different skills, but in my experience, finding the Blue Eyes White Dragon is the hardest part of making the game plan work. You really want to have your Blue Eyes in rotation in order to be able to use the effect of White Dragon to destroy a monster. And because of this, we are instead running Legend Draw. It also means we don't have to run 7 tribute monsters, so we cut back a little and put in a Super King Rex, which is able to revive cards like Urabi and our Celebrontosaurus to keep advantage flowing. Alongside a Sports Dragon package, we should be able to bring out multiple boss monsters every turn incredibly easily. I even considered running a Monster Reincarnation in the Shield and Sword slot in order to make sure we are actually finding the cards that we need. However, on the ladder, I am expecting decks like Harpies to be relatively popular. Talismanic Seal Ray is an incredibly important tool to actually be able to get over an opposing Blue Eyes. Our Bright Eyes is only able to go up to 3,000 attack, and if we don't have the Blue Eyes on field, crashing in feels terrible. So next up, we have a more traditional Blue Eyes Rain list. Once again, we are running many of the same cards: White Dragon, Kyberman, Soul Drake, Seal Rays, and all of the traps you would expect. But there are a couple of differences. Because of the skill restriction, we are forced to run 3 additional tribute monsters, and we use Twin of the Windweaver as the best stand-in. It is a 1 tribute monster, so it isn't as bricky, and it is able to get through set monsters, something the deck would otherwise struggle with. Apart from this, we are also tailoring the deck to make up for the weakness by not running Legend Draw. Blue Eyes White Dragon is much harder to find, so we are running cards like Essel and Speed of Performer, which are able to mill and get us to the Blue Eyes faster. Other than that, I'm running a Light Sorcerer Zenyabi package, and this is for the mirror match. Against an opposing Blue Eyes White Dragon, you don't want to just have the 2500 and be stuck. So you now have Twin of the Windweaver and Light Sorcerer to make sure you are able to get over these 3,000 or higher walls. Sometimes it can even come up against a maximum monster, as several of them have 3,400 or 3,500 attack. So pairing a Light Sorcerer with the vanilla gets you over the wall. Blue Eyes White Dragon works with any Legend normal monster, not just Blue Eyes. By running Black Dragon Rising alongside Red Eyes Black Dragon, we are going to be able to bring in a Legend normal monster much more consistently than we can with any other skill. So now we just fill in the rest of the deck. With both Red Eyes and White Dragon having access to these monsters that allow them to come out for 1 tribute, the deck should be relatively consistent, especially with Soul Drake able to bring in the White Dragon as well. Let's just put in a couple of Dragorite and call it a day. Notably, if this was for a tournament setting, I probably would actually bring in Winged Dragon over the Dragorite, as the 0 defense is a huge liability against Mirror Innovators. Alright, so our opponent starts off with a set 4. We have a King Rex, so our hand is not too bad. We'll be able to revive the Celebrontosaurus that we use to tribute summon the King Rex. Unfortunately, we mill a Bright Dragon right from the top. I will keep the Kyberman around, as next turn, there is a pretty good chance we are going to Legend Draw for the Blue Eyes. We do have the negate attack, but I'm not sure we are going to use it here. They appear to be on some kind of warrior deck, and I'm not that concerned about what they're bringing. Notably, to use Legend Draw, we need to have no monsters on board, so we aren't able to use it after negate attack. Alright, Essel is going to mill, but it is turn 3, so it isn't as much of a problem for us. no special summons. All it's doing is kind of slowly setting up the Ice Sark. It's putting that third warrior name in the graveyard. Spectre Squall, going to send Yami Ruler and Kime Ruler, allowing the Ice Sark to revive one. Presumably, they should choose one of the ones with 2500 defense, but instead, Semi-Ruler comes down. Like I said, we aren't going to use negative attack, so we are able to Legend Draw into the Blue Eyes next turn. We do take a little bit of damage here, but I think it is worth it. Alright, our move, and we can activate the skill. Unfortunately, we don't draw a third low level, so we aren't able to bring in the Bright Dragon to go with it. That said, we are going to work with what we have. Man into the Blue Eyes White Dragon. We will throw these two face down. So we want to keep the Soul Drake in hand, as we are only able to revive on the turn we normal summon it. It works like a Seahorse Carrier, where we aren't able to set it and then use the effect after a flip summon. So let's go ahead and clear out the Ice Sark. And we will rely on the negate attack to protect us for the next turn. And then we'll make a big push with Soul Drake. We see a Trick Pigeon returning Ice Sark into the hand. A little bit of an unconventional card in the deck, but it's working out this time. We also saw that they discarded a Hammer Crush, which I'm surprised they didn't go for, considering we do have 3 face downs. We are going to activate negate attack and use it, and now Blue Eyes is protected. All we need is 1 low-level monster, and we can get in Pitcher plus Soul Drake, Dragon's Inferno to destroy the face down. Then Soul Drake revives our Bright Dragon. Bright Dragon activates the effect and is able to destroy one of the monsters for free. Let's go ahead and remove the Semi-Ruler. Then I'm going to activate the Seal Array that we had face down, returning our Soul Drake and our Cybermen and the King Rex into the deck. We will set a Seal Array, set the Cyberman, and clear out the board. Notably, we do still have a Sword and Shield face down. So if our opponent attempts to swing in with something like a Semi-Ruler or a Kime Ruler to crash into the Bright Dragon, we will be able to clear it. Alright, so we see Ice Sark once again reviving a Semi-Ruler. But that is not a great plan when you have one with 2500 defense as an option. Opponent surrenders, and we get a win. Alright, so we are up against a Roa, and they immediately Death Doom Requiem to get a boss out of their hand. However, we do have 2 copies of Essel, so let's see if we are able to find a boss of our own. Unfortunately, the first one is a whiff, and the second one finds Torna. Not the greatest pull, but also not bad, as we are able to go ahead and ditch 1 copy of Bright Dragon to flip up a monster. It is the Arching Soldier. We will tribute off both Essel and mill a card with Bright Dragon for the attack boost. Soul Drake into defense mode, and we battle. Let's go ahead and clear out the Arching Soldier if we can. Unfortunately, a widespread ruin would actually be pretty devastating. Most players are on negate attack, but removing the Bright Dragon and leaving us unable to clear the Arching Soldier would be a bit of an awkward situation.
A few minutes later.
Going against this Archive skill Roa, we managed to draw Command and Chick. And that is actually very convenient. By using Black Dragon Rising, we are able to return the excess Bright Dragon into our deck. Then add the Red Eyes to hand. Then we bring in Black Dragon's Chick and Kaibaman. And both of them have their effects online. Let's go ahead and swarm the field with huge dragon monsters. Unfortunately, Bright Dragon is not going to be able to destroy the monster as it is set face down. And with 3 trap cards, it is actually a little bit unlikely we are going to be able to hit for the 3000 direct. But they don't activate anything on the first swing. And we get in. All 3 of those set cards are spells. We can probably expect a removal for the negate attack, something like a Talismanic Seal Array, and maybe their legend as well. Light Sorcerer Sanctity coming in. And this would allow their 2500s to beat our 2500s. But of course, if they bring in a Bright Dragon, they are going to be able to boost it to 3000 anyway. So it is just a little bit of extra damage that they choose not to opt for. And here comes the Seal Array. Thanks to the power of Essel. Milling another monster, they are able to just barely use the effect, returning every monster from their graveyard into the hand. And then Dragon's Inferno coming down. Bright Dragon certainly up next, milling a Sorcerer and getting in for 2100. Our move, and we draw another Kaibaman, which is incredibly convenient. Let's go ahead and activate the effect. This time, our opponent is indeed having a face-up monster on the board, which means a free destruction with Blue Eyes Bright Dragon's effect. Let's go ahead and activate a Dragon's Inferno to destroy one of those back row. But we already knew from last turn that it was a spell card, so that is game. Unfortunately, we don't draw anything too interesting. We could use the Tornado Push for a little bit, but I don't feel like it is even worth it. So we are just going to go ahead and set our hand here. I would rather have access to these cards rather than deal 100 damage by flipping up like a Connector Dog. Yeah, Chaos Femtron, it was not worth spending a card to deal 200. You see the Chaos Femtron, but it only mills a Connector Dog, meaning they are unable to add any cards to hand. And they mill the Dark Femtron before entering battle. Unfortunately, we don't have any actual, any trap cards, so we are taking the full brunt of the attack. But we do have a Monster Reincarnation if we need to use it. Unfortunately, no Kaibaman in there, but we did draw 2 Essel, and that means we get another chance to try to find a better card to revive. We are milling 4 and just looking for a Kaibaman, but we do not find it, unfortunately. We are going to bring in the Blue Eyes Bright Dragon and mill 1 more time. And unfortunately, it is the negate attack that is going down here. That is a little bit rough. I think we will go ahead and use our Seal Array. Return in the Soul Drakes and an Essel. Debuff this, and then realistically, I do just want to build up my defenses. Let's bring in an Essel and just set it face down. We can run over the Attribute, and this should be good enough to survive as long as they don't summon out Yggdrago on the next turn. Chaos Femtron, Milling, and Attitude Hydron, meaning they now have a guaranteed boss monster available to them. Interestingly, they choose it over the head of Yggdrago, meaning that probably was not the missing maximum piece. And here we see them heading into the battle phase. But just like I predicted, I did need to set that Essel face down in order to survive the turn. My opponent has 4,000 life, and if I don't finish them off this turn, that's probably it for me. Very interesting hand. So, I feel like the Kaiba Man is definitely a given. As we definitely need to bring in this Bright Dragon. Let's go ahead and special summon it. Then we can activate our skill. We reveal the Black Dragon's chick and get to add the Red Eyes to our hand directly. And then we debuff the Dark Femtron. Next, we summon Chick onto the board and use its effect to bring in the Red Eyes Black Dragon. And we need to use this before we activate the Bright Dragon's effect. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to destroy a monster. Let's go ahead and destroy Attitude Hydron. So, after that, we can summon in Soul Drake. And I think we just barely win the game. Let's enter the battle phase. Crash in the Soul Drake. Swing in for 1,000 damage. And then get in for 100 over lethal. And that is another win for the Red Eyes, Blue Eyes variant.